What's up? Let me talk 1, 2, 3 here. I'm going to be talking about the Pujols situation from an overall look at it and what this is going to affect the Cardinals and the Angels and every team that was involved with this for the next 10 years throughout this deal. um, Basically, as a fan point of view, obviously it's really disappointing. I'm a huge Cardinal fan, and Albert Pujols is one of my idols, and obviously it's disappointing. But I'm so into baseball where I think you can't think of it in as personal. It's definitely hard to get over for many hours. It was just like I can't believe he actually left. Like you're kind of like, is it really possible? Maybe this deal didn't actually happen. I mean, did this really happen? I'm kind of starting to question that, and then I realize, wow, this happened. He left St. Louis, and you start analyzing, and you're kind of mad at Pujols, and you're kind of like, well, the front office had 2 years to get something done, and the Angels did it in two. Well, then you have to consider the Angels are a big market team. The Cardinals, although they have very consistent and great fans, they're not a big market team. The revenue is not there for them to pull out $250 million and offer him the second biggest contract in history. And not only that, but offer it to him when he's like 30, when he's turning 32. So for the Angels, what this does is it gives them a huge jolt right now, getting C.J. Wilson, Albert Pujols. Look at the rotation now with Dan Herron, with Jerry Weaver, with C.J. Wilson, Irvin Santana. It looks fantastic. You look at the lineup, it looks definitely better, but I mean, there's not that much of a difference. You still are stuck with the contract of Vernon Wells, and hopefully he'll improve. That could make a big difference. Albert Pujols at first base, he's going to be very consistent numbers, but around him, the OPSs and the on-base percentages around Albert Pujols, they're not that great. So the lineup is definitely not as, I think, all-around consistent, and overall, it's not better than the Cardinals. Now, looking at the Cardinals lineup projection right now to the Angels lineup is better, but right now the Cardinals have a lot of money to spend, and a lot of targets maybe that they're seeing that could possibly fit for St. Louis. So what this does for the Cardinals here, looking this at a business standpoint, looking at a organizational standpoint, I mean, this whole time, Cardinal fans, you're hoping that he re-signs, and you kind of think he will eventually, but you really know inside that if you know this Cardinals organization well enough, they're not one to be known for spending a ton of money on a player, offering these huge contracts. Matt Holliday contract for $120 million was the biggest contract the franchise has ever offered. I mean, do you really see them going that much out of their comfort level to offer Albert a contract over $250 million that he was supposedly looking for? I just don't see it happening. They offered a contract around $200 million last year. He wanted a 10-year deal, it was a 9-year deal. It would have been an 8-year deal because it included last year. So this year they start off, I'm guessing, with an 8-year deal, 7-year deal, probably wanting to go lower years. And then now they get to the 9-year deal, and they revise the offer, and they give it everything they got, and they send it to him. 9 years, $220 million deal. And a lot of the money was going to be backloaded. So it was going to be, a lot of money down the road. It wasn't going to be paid up every year. And then, all of a sudden, the Marlins get really involved, and rumors up to 275, but the owners told them it was only like 220 million. So, now you're thinking, wow, the Marlins have a pretty good chance for Albert. And the Cardinals offer. And then all of a sudden the Marlins are out of it because they can't offer no trade clause. It's just not good enough offer. And then, the Marlins focused on pitching and signed Mark Burley. And they are definitely a player for C.J. Wilson, offered him a better contract than the Angels. But ultimately, he went to the Angels the same day as the Angels also signed Albert. The Angels went out there in 2 days and did what the Cardinals couldn't do in 2 years, which was just find an offer that Pujols liked enough. Every year, money straight up, incentives going up to $280 million possibly. It's just insane how much money he got. And considering that he's 32, and yes, he's been the best player in baseball the last 10 years, so he obviously deserves a big raise. But it was really how big of a raise. And this deal is a little bit ridiculous if you look at it. I mean, yes, he's been underpaid the last 10, 11 years. But looking at the next 10 years, how he's going to perform, I just don't know if he's worth 10 years, $254 million. I mean, this is very risky by the Angels. A very good organizational move for right now, next year, a few years. But, let's get in the back end of that deal with a no trade clause and a ton of money owed to him. I just don't know how the Angels are going to stay that competitive when they have all these players under these contracts and But again, the Angels are a big market team. They can afford to do these things. And with the Yankees and the Red Sox not in the bidding for Pujols, the Angels really they had a clear shot to really get a deal done, and they offered up enough money, and the deal got done. And I was reading a really good article on the whole situation and how it went down, and they said, Albert's agent, he was up all night watching Sports Center, eating food or something, and waiting for Pujols to call because, he knew that he was going to call at some point. And I don't think he expected it to be that soon, though. And then Pujols calls in the morning and says, the Angels, they're the one tugging on my heart. So it's like, okay, so he's definitely frustrated with the Cardinals organization. They had 2 years to get a deal done. They prioritized Holiday's extension, which I thought would help the Pujols talks. And they just couldn't get a deal done. And I think that he was a little bit frustrated with the Cardinals organization. And I think with the Cardinals, not really changing the offer much from last January to now, and then not getting enough, not staying enough in contact with them. I think they were pretty much just like telling them, if there's a better offer, go ahead, you can leave, because we can't really compete with those offers. I don't think he liked that whole thing too, seeing that the club didn't take him as a priority, which is part of the ego and pride that you develop for yourself when you're that good of a Major League Baseball player. So why is this deal going to actually maybe help the Cardinals, the fact that he left? Let's look at the Cardinals with and without Pujols. All right, last year, where do we struggle? Defense. Where do we struggle? Also, starting pitching during the year. All right, at some points during the year for sure. Now you look at next year. Number one, starting pitcher, we're going to get Wainwright back. So that's definitely going to improve the team. No matter what way you look at it, it has to improve the team. Unless he goes like 0-20, it's definitely going to improve the team. So you're looking at major improvements there. Then you're looking at the bullpen. They've developed some guys. Lynn, they've got more experience. I think the bullpen will be better. Mott has had a great year. Fernando Salas, guys like that. Eduardo Sanchez, a full year of him. I think from the end of the year to now, though, the only difference is the fact that we won't have Dotel. The fact that we have Zepchinski as a really good left-hander in there. We'll probably add either Mike Gonzalez or J.C. Romero adds another lefty. So the relief is going to be improved from the start of last year. The starting pitching improved from the start of last year. All right, you look at the whole field here. Where did we struggle last year on defense? Now, usually pitching and defense wins championships. Total opposite last year. It was offense, offense, offense. We scored the most runs in the National League. How are we going to win that again? David Freese. Hopefully he can have a breakout year. Had a great postseason. I'm not expecting him to all of a sudden hit like 40 home runs, but he has an amazing swing. Just a great batter. And if he can stay healthy, I think he can hit 20 home runs next year, maybe even more. The main thing is RBIs. He is an RBI machine. There's no batter in this Cardinal lineup that you want in RBI situations more than David Freese and Yadier Molina. Yadier Molina is very clutch, has a lot of singles, and David Freese, he had such a great, runners in scoring position average, and it just a fantastic clutch average. So David Freese, such an easy, very nice stroke. We saw it in the postseason. We've seen it these last few years, but he's been injured so much. So hopefully we'll have him for a full year there, third base. So you're going to see an improvement in offense. You look at defense-wise, where are we going to improve? Lance Berkman moving from right field to first base. That's going to definitely add defense. It's going to help the defensive cause there. Look in right field, Alan Craig going to right field and Lance Berkman going to first. Same type of thing. That's definitely going to help with the defense, and Alan Craig will cost less, and it will just cost less. I'm just saying. He's a cost-controlled player with a lot of talent that needs a starting job. You look at the combination of if we would sign Pujols, say $23 million a year, and Berkman's at $12 million for next year. That's $35 million you're spending in right field and first base alone. And now, because of Berkman and Craig, you're spending like $12.5 million. So definitely saving some money there that you can focus on the middle infield. And that's the thing. The Pujols contract would definitely cripple our team for the next 10 years. And that's why it just doesn't look like the Cardinals organization is not the type to have this great player for 10 years and wanted to sign him, but offer that much money. There's no way we would have been able to match Angels' offer, and I'm very proud of the front office for letting them go, because the fact that their offer was a lot less than the Angels, a year less and $30 million less. So, he obviously had some desire, frustrated with the Cardinals front office, and the fact that the Angels really wanted him and they offered him that big of a contract, no trade clause, and Okay, I'll go there. So obviously it was a disappointing move, but you're looking at the areas that can improve. Now we can focus some of our money that we're going to spend on Pujols. Um, say we sign Pujols, say 22, $23 million, and we had a few $1 million left over to shore up all those other positions. Now that 20 something $1 million you can spend it on upgrading the middle infield and possibly upgrading outfield. Now I think it's always been in the talks that if Albert wasn't on this team, we would need more outfield power. Alan Craig is definitely going to help that cause because without Berkman, I mean, we would be very stuck right now. You know what I mean? We'd have some money to spend, and I'm guessing if we didn't have Berkman on the team, the first guy we'd sign was Carlos Beltran. But, I mean, I think that it would be a really good deal for the Cardinals if they sign Carlos Beltran, maybe $15 million a year for 2 years, 2-year, $30 million deal. Something like that. I think he could get, no, more maybe like $13 million. $12 to $13 million would be fair. I think a 2-year, $25 million deal would be reasonable, especially with what we are able to do right now. We can offer that contract. We put him in center field. John Jay can play right in the beginning of the year because Alan Craig is hurt right now and won't start, the year. So, I mean, you're giving Alan Craig a starting job for the first time ever. I think it would be really nice to platoon him with John Jay, and John Jay can also platoon with Carlos Beltran. And John Jay can probably also platoon with Matt Holliday. And Matt Holliday hopefully is healthy next year, but he was hurt a lot last year. So I think John Jay having as that fourth outfielder can really help everything. And we can continue that depth that we had last year if we sign Carlos Beltran. That's my case. I want Carlos Beltran. Look at our lineup. If you add Carlos Beltran into maybe a 4 or 5 hole, maybe even the 2 hole. I mean, his base percentage is good. His speed is not all the way there, but it's definitely there. And his batting stroke is really nice. He can bat 290, 300, driving some runs, hit some home runs. I would really love to see Carlos Beltran on this team, and it would definitely help with losing Pujols, getting those jersey sales up, and getting fans to show up for something. I mean, a lineup of Freeze and having Beltran. I'm thinking of what the lineup would be. Or another option is Coco Crisp. Or another option is get like a Ryan Lovegood to fill in right field. I would much rather have Carlos Beltran by far, though. So you look at the lineup possibly if we do get Carlos Beltran. And we've definitely been involved with some preliminary talks about him, seeing what the market would be for him. But I think a 2-year deal would be perfect for him. 2 to 3 year deal. I think 3-year deal would be a little pushing it. But I think a 2-year deal would be perfect. Now, shortstop and second base, middle infield is definitely a question. And also, I want to say this too, before I get in the middle infield, the money that we saved from the Pujols talks also can help being able for us to resign guys like Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina when they get into free agency. Because we definitely want to sign them long term at some point. And I don't want what happened to Albert Pujols to happen to Adam Wainwright because that's a huge blow, or Yadier Molina, same thing with him. So we need to make sure that we have some money in our organization for things like that to be done. So I would not be surprised if we... Oh! I just thought of this too. Westbrook, Loesch, and Berkman's, all their salary going off next year. That is like $40 million almost. Okay, $30 million. $33 million, somewhere around there. Plus all the other players are just going to sign 1-year deals with the Cardinals this year that we don't know yet. This is going to be a lot of money coming off the books next year. And the fact that we don't have $20-something million locked up to Pujols every year for the next 10 years, that just means that we're going to have money to sign guys long-term. That means that we can always look to add payroll in the middle of the season if we need to make a deal. That means that we can always add payroll in free agency, in trades for the next, 10 years. So, I mean, this definitely opens up a lot of doors, and I definitely like that. Also, we get some draft picks. I know that's not enough compensation, but if Edwin Jackson signs with another team, which he obviously will, and I don't expect the Cardinals to sign him. So, we're going to get 6 picks in the first round, supplementary picks. Maybe not in the first round. It'd be supplementary picks and first-round picks. We have 2 first-round picks, 19th overall from the Angels, 22nd overall or something like that for us. And then we will have 4 supplementary picks. We get 1 for Albert, 1 for Dotel, 1 for Jackson, I guess 3. So 5 picks in the first round. When Jackson signs to another team, that'll be our 5th. So there's obviously some positives. When we get to the middle infield, I'm sorry, the video's about to end. It's almost 15 minutes. But if we get to the middle infield, I don't expect to sign Rollins, but maybe for call second base, definitely a question right now. We'll see. Thanks for watching. I'll be talk 1, 2, 3.